Hello everybody, welcome back to the Red Jacket Lawyers channel. Today we'll be talking about the comparison of the AG, Aktiengesellschaft, and the SE, Societas Europaea, both of which we've been discussing in recent videos, and today the idea is to compare these two cousins with each other. So let's set off with the AG. The AG has a rigid two-tier board system, which we have previously explained in the AG video, which basically says that you have to have a board, executive Vorstand, a board non-executive Aufsichtsrat, supervisory board, and a shareholders meeting. All three are non-dispensable, and even if you hold 100% of the shares, you can't just act as a shareholder, you always have to act through the non-executive board, supervisory board. The SE has two types of structure available on option. One is exactly what you have with the AG, so the setup of non-executive and executive board and the the shareholders meeting, or alternatively you can have the SE with the monoistic style management we know from Anglo-American corporate entities, whereby you have a board comprising executive and non-executive directors. This choice of course affects the culture in the company, the separation of powers or the streamlining of powers, and last but not least, it's probably just a matter of what you feel at home with. Both companies also have the conceptual requirement for employee co-determination. However, that co-determination is structured quite differently, and certainly the SE is much more flexible than the AG. However, the AG in turn prescribes a much higher default level than the SE. To that extent, starting with the German AG and its high level of participation, you have to have at least 25% of non-executive directors appointed from the ranks of the employees in companies with over 500 people, and that figure will go up to 50% once employees exceed 2,000 in numbers. So quite strong participation of employees in the German AG as non-capital holding stakeholders. The regime governing the SE is much more flexible. Effectively, an SE is required to engage with its employees over their participation and enter into negotiation on the level this may take. So there is no strict guideline saying you have to have X members of the employees represented on the board or on the decision-making process, and that is much more for you to negotiate. And what one commonly finds is that employee participation is agreed at a relatively low level very early on, and as the company grows bigger, is fiercely defended at that level by the company, keeping employee participation overall at a low level. When it comes to formation, an AG is a purely domestic beast. It basically requires that you have capital, that you go and see the notary, and that you have an incorporation audit done, and you are ready to go. But you don't have to have any foreign element. The SE has additional hurdles, most notably the existence of a foreign company corporate link. So that can be a participation as subsidiary, that can be a merger with a company on the same level, or that can be a foreign entity stakeholder, but you have to have a foreign element. That entails that incorporation of an AG is generally a quicker and cheaper process than incorporating an SE. What is investor perception? Investors know what they get when they invest into an AG. AGs have been around for well over 100 years. The process is very trodden out. The courts know how it works, the registers know how it works, and the investors know about their level of protection, both as minority and majority shareholders. When it comes to an SE, the baby is much younger but no longer juvenile. It's in its 20s, and obviously it's subject to much more judicial review across Europe. And there is an inherent risk that courts may take slightly different views from the north of Europe to the south and from the east to the west. Overall, of course, it'd be the European courts that align things if they have to, but that's very much a matter of last resort after a long and painful process. But at the same time, investors do know when they invest into an SE that they are looking at a company with an outlook across the continent, with proper capital funding, and at a company that is set to work and grow across the Europe, probably with an outlook across the world. So both have a good reputation, slightly different in nature. If your interest is purely in Germany, then the AG probably is the right thing for you. Because if you're obviously only looking at Germany, why would you bother yourself with a foreign element that you don't really want, just to be able to say you have an SE? If you're looking for multi-jurisdictional flexibility, then the SE shines. It has great cross-border agility, and it can move legal seat across Europe easily, and it can act across Europe without great difficulty. It is the pan-European beast. So use cases are, for example, if you want to expand through acquisition in multiple European countries, the SE may well streamline this as a group structure, as home to a group structure that has many subsidiaries. If the founder's exit strategy is looking at an IPO in Germany or abroad, both an AG and an SE are acceptable vehicles. Both can trade on European exchanges, but with the SE it might be slightly easier. Also, of course, with the SE you don't need to have any corporate adjustments if you're looking at an IPO abroad. Conclusion. AG and SE are cousins, though they lead to very different consequences in practice. An AG is simpler to set up and the default choice for German large companies. The SE may sound like a slightly more exotic option, but it offers freedom in governance and in moves across Europe. So, who should choose what? If you value tried and tested structures and a straightforward setup, the AG may well be your course of action. If you need European integration, board flexibility, or co-determination tailoring of employees, then the SE may be your choice. We will draw this video to a conclusion now. We hope you liked what we presented. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below. Please like and subscribe, and we'll be back with further content before long.